Your images have no meaning. Let me explain myself. One of the hardest moments for a photographer is the realization that your work might be meaningless. In the case of street photography, you go out, walk long hours, looking for something that will catch your eye, something that is enough for you to press the shutter. You shoot again and again and end up keeping a small percentage of the images. And then, you might post them on Instagram. If the images are good, they might get a few more likes than the ones from your latest posts. Great. And if you are really happy about the images, you might even upload them on your website that no one visits.
Yeah!
Or you might even spend money and enter some competitions and gain nothing but exposure should your images be selected by the jury. But all those options do not really give meaning to your images apart from some instant gratification. I personally was in this position a while ago. I had the impression that all the efforts I put to create images that I like ended up in images that have no meaning and that I was basically wasting my time with photography. At its worst stage, this creative crisis almost made me want to stop shooting. It all came to an end last summer. I noticed that I was spending a lot of time shooting next to water bodies such as lakes or river, and I had the idea to compile those images in a zine. To make sure that the work has some meaning, I created a narration around the theme of personal balance. I will be honest with you and admit that I might have been a bit clumsy in the way I conveyed my message, as this was my first attempt at creating a printed project. But in the end, it was a relief to finally have a reason to shoot, finding the images that were missing to make my zine a coherent project. You can find this zine on my website, and I even have a digital version available for the price of a coffee. Okay, I agree, maybe it's the price of a coffee in Switzerland, but still it's decently cheap. So please just have a look at my website, and if you feel like supporting the channel, don't hesitate to grab one or both zines. This first experience of publishing a printed project totally revigorated my photography and led me to publish a second project that I think is more mature than the first one. I will explain you the key takeaways of working on both those projects, but first, let me explain you how this second zine came to life. It all started when I discovered the Seelfeld Cemetery in Zurich. I always knew that there was some project to do there, and in fall, when the days were shorter, I went there after my day job and just tried to take nice shots with my flash, without having any idea of where and how they would be used. Later, during the winter, I experimented shooting street photography with a flash and low shutter speed. And when I did not have the energy to go out for street photography, I walked around my house, often in the rain, and shot some experiments. While editing those photos, I noticed that they would all visually match each other. Making a zine containing only cemetery images would have been a bit too easy and not that interesting. So I needed to think of a way to combine all those different images that are visually coherent into a project that's also narratively coherent. After playing around with different concepts, I reached my final idea: create an exploration of death in 4 chapters. The first one describes how the narrator spent his last 10 minutes wandering around a rainy and gloomy environment. The second chapter describes the 30 seconds after the impact. And if you want to know which impact I'm talking about, you can easily go to my website and buy the zine. I used images that can be interpreted as the visions one might have when dying. The third chapter, called 3 Days After, shows the cremation process. And the last chapter, For Eternity, discloses those images that I took in the Seelfeld Cemetery. And of course, this zine is also available on my website, but I have to warn you, it is not excluded that you suffer from depression after reading it. So I only advise you to buy it if you are already a doomer. So what did I learn by publishing 2 zines? Well, the first thing, and maybe the most important one, is that creating a zine is a great way to give meaning to your images. Starting to create zines has worked very well to motivate me to shoot again. So if you are facing a creative crisis and don't feel very motivated to shoot, maybe creating a zine is a good idea. You can try to look into your catalog if you have some images that could already start telling a story, or you can simply start from scratch with a project or an idea that is close to your heart. And if you need inspiration, well, you are lucky. Hundreds of photographers have already released projects, so you can simply look at some books and find some ideas of what you want to do. But why is creating a zine so helpful to overcome a creative crisis? Well, in my case, it really helps with motivating me to go out or to justify why I'm going out so much. Sometimes I ask myself why I'm wasting so much time with this photography. You don't need to be constantly thinking of your project when you are shooting, but the sole fact that the image that you are shooting might be the greatest image of your next project or might be the start of a new project is sufficient to stay motivated, in my opinion. The good thing with this solution is that you don't need to go out and shoot with an idea in mind. You can simply go out and let what attracts you guide your shots and then find an idea a posteriori. In the case of my second zine, everything started by those cemetery shots. While doing them, I had no idea where they would end up. And it's only when I finally found the idea to combine all those different images that I shot with no specific project in mind that I started looking for the third chapter, the one with the fire images. And then the magic of creating a project operated. As I was really wondering how I would get any images of a fire that's big enough to be impactful, I came home to some people preparing for a bonfire right in front of my house. What would have normally annoyed me ended up being a great way to get the images I was missing. My goal is not to force you to use my solution, but if you are struggling with the fact that you think your images are meaningless and you struggle to understand why you are shooting so much and you are feeling unmotivated, then working on a project can be a new and deeper way to engage with your passion for photography. Anyways, if you have already worked on a project or if you plan to do so, I would love to hear about your idea, so let me know in the comments. And if you have enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a like, to subscribe, and most importantly, please share this video with some other photographers. I know the algorithm is a good way to get my videos out, but the best way I think is if you recommend it to a friend. So don't hesitate to do that. And also don't forget to buy my zines, because even though working on a project was very meaningful, it's even more meaningful if people can get to see the stories I wanted to tell in my zines. See you in the next video, and bye bye.